people, 3 others. And to see sometimes the relief of being able to have the banter and go back and forth with others to, I think, make very sound decisions. Sometimes the decision-making process is longer, but I gotta tell you, it's much more thorough. And I'm always reminded of the conversation, Dave, that we had in one of our meetings of, was it the 12th man, or was it the, was that what it was? So always having kind of the person with a contrary, or at least an opinion that maybe goes against what, kind of the consensus may be. And I think by spreading the leadership, you allow that to happen. And we always talk about Dan, you will always take the contrarian perspective, whether you believe it or not. And you always back it up with great factual data. And I think that's really important for any firm to be able to have that. So I think what we've done is for the future of financial counsel, we've spread that decision-making process among a few people, allow for opinion, perspective, and I think ultimately that allows for continuity, succession, future growth, and just being well-rounded. And we're going to continue to do that. We're 21 people now, I think it's 21, so we'll keep adding, and we'll see new faces that come in that can provide perspective, and I think that's a goal of mine, to be able to have that diversity and perspective. That was long-winded, but I think I answered your question.
Thanks. Great. And once Jeff got to my office, he was actually busy studying for exams and then sitting in with meetings with Bill, so he really wasn't all there. I had the place to myself. So the next question I wanted to give to Dave, and it's about kind of our team environment that we have now and what we've kind of built there. So we just went through a major expansion in our office, and in a reorganization, as we've grown, new team members, we needed more office space, and this was pretty big. And so I don't know if any of you have been in here for recent meetings, or maybe came in for Shred-it Week, and a lot going on. But Dave's office was about 2 or 3 doors down from me for a long, long time. And as a lot of people know in this room, Dave is a baseball fan and a lifelong Oriole fan. And so this worked great for me because I love baseball too. And we would talk a lot about baseball. And over the years, in our conversations, Dave became aware that I am a fan of the Los Angeles Dodgers. I grew up in Los Angeles, okay? Dave's office is now clear across the building for me to go. But anyway, so Dave, when I first got to Financial Counsel, we had kind of a silo approach. We had one advisor, one client service liaison for a client. Since then, we have really gone into more of a team approach. You have spearheaded this, and I want to tell you why this was so valuable, not only to me, but the other team members. We were able to see firsthand the way you connect with clients, your compassion and patience. So very, very valuable to a lot of us to have that. I really, really appreciate that. So my question to you is, why was the team concept so important to you?
Thanks, Dan. I forgot what I was going to say before. A team is really a group of individuals that perform better together. And to form the team, you have to have the right players on the team, train them correctly, and then get them to play together well. And I'm quoting Bill. Bill was constantly, he'll constantly say, looking for the right people in the right places, doing the right things. And that's what we've been striving for. So I came on board in 2002, and that was the way financial advisory businesses were. They were silos. And that's sort of, as clients, you probably didn't really know a lot about the other people at Financial Counsel back then. And I'll sort of go through an evolution to where we are now. It goes from the silos, and we had a big, and I remember when I first met Bill and you know, came on board, Bill was very intentional about describing financial counsel. If some of you have seen this, he'll say, you know, counsel was spelled COUNCIL intentionally as a sort of a council of advisors. So we thought of ourselves as a team back then, but it was more of a collaborative, you know, we were collaborating, but we weren't really acting as a true team. If you fast forward, Dan came on board, and we created a you know, director of plan creation role, and Dan started to, you were interacting with all of our clients, and we started this sort of evolution to where we were coming together more. And so if we, Commonwealth, so back then in 2009, we changed broker dealers to Commonwealth, and really saw how a truly great team operates. Commonwealth is a tremendous partner of ours, and we start to learn, and not just from Commonwealth, the things that they were helping us with, but we would go to conferences and learn from the Commonwealth advisors are the best in the business. And you could collaborate with other advisors. So we would go to those conferences together and talk and learn more. And things started to come together. We hired Jeannie Maffey, who just retired. She was our cat herder. We called her, she was our office manager to kind of bring things together even more. We weren't growing the team because we just wanted to get a whole bunch more clients and have this out of control group. We were growing the team to allow us to focus better on client service, on the different pieces. Back, and I sort of laughed when Dan talked about the office on Joppa Road originally, because I remember the first time we were trying to decide to do a luncheon, and we were all stressed out because we were afraid nobody was going to come. We were going to have this room, there was going to be 3 people there, and I remember it was at the Marriott, and the Marriott people said, well, if you have fewer people than you really want, we can close the dividers and make the room seem smaller. And so I was thinking about that as Dan was talking, and I remember, so one of the things that Bill does really well is when he wants to do something, he doesn't let it go, and it winds up being done so well because he's just a perfectionist that way. And it's not necessarily because he wants to be proud of it himself. He's doing it for everybody else. He wants things to be done really, really well. So fast forward a little bit, the teams that we're hiring now, the teams that we're putting together now, we have, the client service team. We developed the co-advisor concept where we work together, we partner together for clients. You've met groups of advisors. So we have client service team. We have advisors. We have advisory committee. We started to put these groups together so that we can focus better. And just recently, Lisa Bodie is now heading up the director of client experience. So all of these things are being put together so that we can focus better on clients. It coincides with growth in our office, but we're doing it so that we can really have better service. So as the last piece that I want to talk about is the leadership team. So as we went from a silo, which is all the advisors sort of have their own clients, we've basically evolved into a business where we consider all of the clients, all of you out there, to be the whole firm's clients, and we treat you that way. We have a power planning department that we put together, all these different pieces, and we all see you. You may not know it, but we all touch your data, and we're all working to provide better service to you.
Okay, thanks, Dave. Appreciate it. So, you know, Susie once told me something. When you meet Rick for the first time, you feel like you've known him your whole life. And when I first started doing phone calls that Rick was going to be involved with, usually with John, I would say, okay, you're going to be meeting with John and Rick in a couple of weeks, and people would ask me, who's Rick? This was very easy for me. I said, Rick is a fantastic financial planner. He's an even better human being. And Rick, what I wanted to ask you about was, you've really brought a lot of young families into our referrals into our company. And then I thought, you know, you're really the first advisor to go through our glide path, going from associate to co-advisor and now lead advisor. And I was wondering if you can kind of share a little bit about what those experiences have been like for you.
Thanks, Dan. That's a huge compliment. Means a lot to me. So I think a good place to start here is just sharing a little bit of my background. I've known Bill for quite a long time. He's known my family, and that's how I originally connected with this great firm. But where I started in college, I started in banking. It taught me a lot of the foundation that really goes into what we do each and every day. But when you describe a financial advisor, maybe at a different institution like a bank, it looks a lot different than the way we do things here. And so, not mentioning that particular bank, but I saw the way things were done there, and it honestly steered me away from what I thought I really wanted to pursue. So I saw that experience, and after my experience in banking, I then joined a private company where I was doing project management, working closely with the COO there with business processes, and also a little bit in their finance department as well. Again, outside of the industry, we're in non-investments related, non-securities related. And I had a great experience there, learned a lot just for my own personal development. But I always had that yearning to continue to meet with clients and help clients achieve their goals. So I felt like I was missing that aspect. And I had the privilege of reconnecting with this great team here and learning how they approach planning, and not just it being a sale as you may see in other places. It was comprehensive planning. It was relationships. It was trust. I mean, these are your hard-earned assets that you're asking for somebody to be a good steward of. And that's really important and something that we take really, really seriously. So I've had the privilege to reconnect here, and it was a great experience to get to know this team, but it was a daunting task too, because that came with a lot more licensure. It came with the Certified Financial Planner designation, which can be a long process and a pretty difficult exam to tackle. But with the support of this great team, and not only the support, but also the experience you get with sitting in on client meetings and helping with follow-up, there was a tremendous amount of support that helped me get through that process to the point where I'm kind of at now, serving more as a lead advisor, while also having the honor and privilege to work with multiple advisors up here on this panel, which it can be a steep learning curve when you get into this industry. And half of that can be done by studying a textbook. The craft of financial planning and building relationships, trust. You learn a lot when you see professionals do it who have done it for 20, 30, 40 years. So you might say, well, Rick, it's great to hear all that, but what does this really mean to me? What is the impact of that? And I think the biggest thing is, from the client perspective, where you're sitting today, is that you're partnering with a firm that's willing to invest in its people. And you'll see that as we continue to grow. You might see new faces, join these events. But there's a true passion here to collaborate, to invest in the right people in the right roles, doing the right things. And I'm forever grateful for that. So I think that's
Okay, thank you. Well said. When Lydia started with our company, all of us found out something very, very quickly. There is the pace that financial counsel moves at, and there's the pace that Lydia moves at. Lydia was put in charge of our paraplanning department. Actually, no. Lydia created the paraplanning department. And, we are more efficient. I think we have a very good, higher work quality, and we're able to help a lot more people. One thing that's always been very important to Bill is anybody that shows up on our doorstep gets help. That doesn't mean we take them on as a client. That doesn't mean we have a continuing resolution, continuing relationship, but everybody gets help. And we meet a lot of people who splurged and overspent, and a lot of it is their own fault. I feel the most satisfying conversations that I have is somebody that did everything right. They played by the rules, and then they're behind the 8 ball, as you say, or something. They're ill prepared because maybe a spouse got into a medical situation that wasn't covered by insurance. A child had some issues. A family member needed some help. They come to us. They are embarrassed, and they feel like they did something wrong. And we are able. The thing I just want to say is there's a lot of really good people who just want someone to talk to. And Lydia, you make that possible for us to do that. I want to also share a very brief story because it's going to get into my question. So I mentioned I spent part of my career at T. Rowe Price. Back in, I think it was 1994 when I started, my father worked for the Applied Physics Lab at APL his entire career. And early on, when I started with T. Rowe Price, there was a gentleman named Harold Pinson. He was with a company called the Aero Funds. Aero Funds were one of the providers, the sponsors of APL's 403B plan. And my dad met with them, and he said, "My son just got a job with T. Rowe Price." And Harold told him, "Tell your son to get on one of the phone groups. They are the best trained people in the entire industry." Lydia, you also started your career with T. Rowe Price. And I was wondering if you can share a little bit about the competencies and the experience that you were able to bring from T. Rowe Price over to Financial Counsel.
Thank you, Dan. As Jeff mentioned, when you're really nervous, you should talk about things that you love, like your kids. And while I love my kids, I also love this career. So as Dan mentioned, I started my career at T. Rowe Price on the phone group. And basically when you go to the phone group, they put you in a room with 30 other people who are also going to be learning that job, and they train you for 3 to 4 months on how to take phone calls. You learn the industry knowledge, the rules and regulations of, in that particular job, I was doing individual retirement accounts. So I spent about a year in that department, and then I transitioned quickly to another department where I was doing that at a higher level, and then I had the opportunity to go over to the employer side as well. So I have done a lot of different things when it comes to the industry, learning how to talk to clients, explaining the rules, providing education, but none of that was advice, and none of that was how to help foster long-term relationships. If you can imagine, when you call one of those, Fidelity, Vanguard, they're typically pretty quick conversations, and that's what I was doing when I was at that group. I was having these very quick, high-touch conversations with clients, but I knew that there was something missing, and Financial Counsel was that missing piece. I really wanted to have the ability to take the education and the knowledge that I learned from there and help people and help to foster long-term relationships. As Bill says, you know, we want to be lifelong indispensable partners for you, and that's what I'm hoping to bring. So that knowledge helped me transition to financial counsel, where I was hired at the paraplanner, as Dan mentioned. We've always had a paraplanner role, but it was never one specific person. The advisors here were kind of prepping for each other, prepping for, you know, Bill and Jeff or Dave. And so I was prepping for everyone. So while I don't know, you know, I haven't met a lot of you guys face to face, I do know you on paper. I've had a lot of opportunity to, you know, get to know your situation, get to know your goals, your families, you know, what you guys are going through. And then the team presented me the opportunity to go into the advisory role and take the CFP. So I have a little bit of a history with exams, and they make me really nervous, but I knew that that's what I wanted to do, to continue to build those long-term relationships. So in November of 2024, I passed the CFP exam, and over the last year, I have been transitioning over into the advisory role, and I have to give a shout out to pretty much everyone in the office for supporting me in that, but really Emily has come in and seamlessly transitioned into the paraplanning role, which has allowed me to focus on a lot more of the advisory side of the business. And just also a shout out to all the other advisors. I am learning so much. Jeff wants to put a window in our office so that I can continue to be mentored. And so I'm just continuing to, you know, learn based off of my knowledge, you know, just have that opportunity to be that lifelong partner for you all.
Well said. Thank you very much. I want to ask my next question to Kristen, and it's something that comes up a lot in our conversations is legacy planning, gifting, and she's perfect for this because before she joined our firm, I think we were just basically doing asset management and retirement planning all day. Since she joined the firm, we're now making sandwiches for the homeless. We're stuffing 5 large buses full of donated school supplies for disadvantaged children. We're cleaning out our coat racks at home to see if we have anything that can be donated. And it's very neat to say Kristen is very, very charitable. I just listed some programs at a very high level. But Kristen, you're involved in programs that promote the dignity of all human life, that champion individual empowerment. And I was really curious, what was it about Financial Counsel's culture? What was it about the character of the firm that you felt most closely aligned with your values?
That is a really cool question. Got me a little schmutzy. So that's a great question. It's something Dan and I actually talk about a lot in our early morning chats of just how lucky we are to be part of the Financial Counsel team. And I think I'll bring the perspective of a newer part of the team. And examples like today, when I'm talking to all of you, meeting all of you, and hearing the way you talk about your relationship with this firm, the advisors, the team. It is so genuine, the care, the mutual respect, and I have the opportunity to also sit across from a lot of you and hear the stories about where you've been and how long you've been with the firm, and again, see genuine care and trust between you and the people sitting across the table from you. And that is not lost on me, and I'm very grateful for that. I think I can give you a little bit of my background. Prior to joining the Financial Counsel team, my career was predominantly supporting organizations, businesses, to achieve their goals and be successful. And it did not take me long in my career to realize that all of the things that I was focused on, strategic planning and operations, to help businesses become more sustainable, more scalable, without the right why behind it, that would create high valuations for companies, but it didn't create great companies, and it didn't create great organizations. And so, in my career, I made a pretty narrow focus on supporting organizations that were good organizations, and that I was passionate and I could be passionate about. And so I did that, and I got to do that in my professional career. And to Dan's points, I find that outside of work as well. And prior to joining Financial Counsel, I worked for a company that I firmly believed in and started working with because of the culture and who they were. It didn't matter what product they were selling or what service they provided. It was purely based on who the people were and knowing that good people deliver a good service to good people. I did have the opportunity to work with Rick, which he didn't mention when he talked about his career prior to here, is the great people he met along the way. One of those pieces was that company was bought by a private equity firm. And that shifted very much the way that company operated and the focus. It was very much looking at the bottom line and less about the people. And so that was very sad for me, but it was actually an incredible opportunity for me to look at, what do I want to do next? What is my next career opportunity? And so I was talking to a mentor of mine about what I was passionate about. And I was talking about, I become obsessed with, and I'm so passionate about seeing businesses succeed. That's what I want to do. And he agreed, but he also challenged that a little bit and said, I know you're passionate about seeing businesses succeed, but really I think you're more fulfilled with seeing humans and the people on your team and the people you work with and the people on the other side of the table succeed and achieve success. And he was right. And so, full circle and long way around of Rick and I met, and we're having coffee one day because we've stayed close, and he was talking to me about Financial Counsel and who the team was and what they do and how they deliver service to their clients. And exactly what you had said, Rick, my perception of the financial industry, I worked at Morgan Stanley during college, and I was like, this is not for me. It's so sterile. It was so different what Rick described. And I believed him because I trust Rick, but I also, it's beyond what I could have imagined from what he described when I met the team. And so I believe now the role that I'm in, it's a dual role where I get to work behind the scenes a lot in looking at the strategic plan and supporting Jody as the COO and pushing that forward and making sure that Financial Counsel, from an infrastructure, team development, resource perspective, is positioned to last for many, many generations to come and support you and all of your families. And then I also get to sit across from you when I'm partnering with Dave or another advisor and see you achieve the goals that you want to achieve. So I get to have a bit of a dual role, and it has been everything that I could ever want in a career, to steal some of Lydia's enthusiasm behind it, because it's true, and I think you feel that here today, and it is absolutely been an amazing experience, and I'm grateful for that. So look
Thank
forward
you.
to many years to come.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. So, Meg, I always thought I was Bill's best idea. Then you came along. And I was thinking about what I wanted to ask you, and you just recently visited your daughter in Europe, and I gave you 4 books to take with you. for the flight over and be there. And they said, no, maybe the team said keep it to the Live Well Retirement Navigation. Although I will say this, I know there's a number of guests in here with us today that would rather me ask that question. Meg, you along with Susie have created an amazing program, a time where our clients are under an extremely stressful situation, making a life-changing decision. You've been there for them. And you've been running the Live Well Retirement Navigation Program for Financial Counsel for about 4 or 5 years now. But this idea started long before that, didn't it?
Thanks, Dan. Yes, even though I've been full-time on the staff for almost 4 years, this idea has started at least 8 years ago or longer. COVID got in the way a little bit of us trying something new here at Financial Counsel, but when we started thinking about this program, this idea, it was pretty straightforward actually, with the thinking behind it, which is some of you are getting older. I hate to break it to those of you, you know who you are in the audience. So a few of you are getting older, and as we get older, sometimes things get more complex. Things feel, there can be more uncertainty, a little bit of trepidation about decision making and some of these kind of high stakes situations in life. And so Financial Counsel said, wouldn't it be great if we had somebody to help with those kind of bigger, those big life decisions, somebody to walk alongside people. And Financial Counsel also said, we really think that these things, there's no better place to make these kinds of decisions than within the context of a financial firm, because these decisions are intertwined. It's not your personal life and your financial life. There's these decisions, all of these personal decisions that you're making throughout your life, they all have a price tag. And so the idea was, let's integrate this. But from that straightforward idea, kind of fast forward to today, and we're thinking about this pretty differently now, even 4 years into building this bicycle while we were riding it. And now we think about this as how we do business. This isn't a program anymore. This is a way that we can be more proactive, more precise, and more personal in the services that we deliver to you, to our valued clients. So the idea behind it is that if we know you, if we know what's going on with you, with your family, how your life is evolving, what are those big decisions that you're making now or you're anticipating in the future, if we have that kind of insight, then we can provide you better service, and we can provide you that ongoing, indispensable partnership that you've come to rely on at Financial Counsel. So we take a collaborative approach. I tend to work more on the personal side. It's always optional if you want to talk with me. Sometimes people talk with me in preparation for a meeting. Sometimes people talk with me as a follow-up to a meeting when something is raised and the advisor is saying, maybe you should dig into this with Meg a little bit, and then we can revisit the issue. Because while I'm working with you or behind the scenes with your advisor on sort of the more personal side of these life transitions, your advisors are staying laser focused on the numbers, on the strategy, and then so it's a collaborative process or an integration of life planning and financial planning is what we're doing. And this integrated approach is honestly where we see the financial field headed. We have firms that reach out to us. I talk to companies around the country, and they're very curious about what we're doing, and they are trying to figure out what they want to be doing. In large part, in the age of AI and increased technology, they're trying to figure out how do they stay relevant. And this is a real issue in the financial industry, is how do you continue to lean into the human side of advice? And that's where we feel like we are really making incredible strides. So the feedback that we're hearing from you is incredibly positive, and it's so invigorating to hear that this is working. And we are innovating, we are tweaking this, we are kind of taking it where you are taking us, where you need us to be. But so far, it's working, guys. We just say that, and we really appreciate your partnership. The feedback that I get is you do feel more supported. You feel having extra perspective, having additional resources that I can bring to the table helps you to feel more confident. Because again, the goal, we named this program the Live Well Retirement Navigation Program, or we're calling it Live Well a lot for short. And the goal is really that we can help you live well now and in the future, whether that's a plan B or whether it's something that comes up unexpectedly that has an impact on your financial life, and we want to help kind of dig into and provide that more personal, more proactive approach. And that's a key part of the plan to grow, to stay small, so that we continue to provide that personal service when other firms aren't sure how they're going to manage this.
Thanks so much, Meg.
I want to talk about the books too. But,
Yeah,
we'll wait. Okay, we'll wait.
No, we'll wait on that. We'll wait on that. Yeah, Meg and I share a ton of book ideas back and forth with each other. So, and again, I just want to reiterate how much Susie has helped with this program as well. So, it's a full team effort, and everybody's been involved, and it's just been an amazing success. So thank you. So, Emily, when nobody was happier than me when Lydia got promoted from paraplanner to the associate advisor. I could finally, let my guard down, relax a little bit. This has not been the case. Emily, back in January, we all had the chance to meet Mom. And I remember I pulled her aside and told her, you and your husband have raised a remarkable young woman. You have been given responsibilities. I mentioned I've been in this business for 34 years now. You have been given responsibilities I have never seen a first-year associate be given, and they have been executed flawlessly and efficiently. Even though you're the youngest person on the stage, financial planning has been your calling for quite a while now, hasn't it?
It definitely has, and I already told Jeff and Bill, who told me earlier, don't be afraid to be vulnerable. I might cry up here. So just a fair warning. Financial planning has always been a passion of mine, and it all stemmed from my parents. My parents are immigrants from Ukraine, so I'm a first-generation Ukrainian, and I grew up in a Slavic church, which is a Ukrainian and Russian-speaking church, where many people, like Dan mentioned earlier, were doing all the right things, but somehow fell behind. And I can see that that's truly a passion of everyone here. Everyone here wants to help in any way that they can. So I really like numbers and I really liked analysis, but I didn't know how I can help people until I started trying to figure out what I'm going to do in college. And then I came across financial planning. And Towson luckily had a financial planning program. So I went to Towson and got my bachelor's degree in financial planning and have pursued it ever since. Last year, I had the privilege of joining the financial council team, and one of the first things that Bill mentioned to me, or Bill said to me because Bill loves his quotes, was be the plan. And that's truly something that all of us do. All of us envision ourselves as being the plan. And the plan stems beyond just the annual review meetings, which in the annual review meetings you may see the folder, which is what the paraplanner role prepares. But the plan is more than just what's talked about in the annual review. It's, as my generation likes to say, when life starts lifing and you have to give us a call, whether good or bad, we're there for you, and we're part of the plan with you. And I am a planner at heart, so as soon as he said, be the plan, I knew I could be the plan. And one of the things that really stuck out to me when I came on was the mentorship here. It felt like a weight was lifted when I joined the Financial Council family because I could truly rely on other people and be supported, like right now when I'm going through the CFP studying. And there's two mentors who I rely on daily. One of them is Dan, who I work very closely with. I like to pick his brain on the markets, on world events, and anything that you all enjoy. The other one is Lydia, who has built out this wonderful paraplanning process that allows the advisors to seamlessly have their meetings. And I get to be mentored by every single person. We have very close relationships at Financial Council, and we all rely on everyone daily. Like Dave mentioned, we work as a team. So I get to see how everyone approaches the plan. Bill's approach is different from Dave's, which is different from Rick's, which is different from Jeff's and Kristen's and Lydia's. So I get to see who does what and how. And it also involves the CSL team and all of the administrative team, because our passion is truly all of you and being the plan.
Thanks so much. Guys, this is what I get every single day. Thanks to all of you.